May I come in, sir?
Please come.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
How many mocks have you given so far, Lakshman?
Sir, 4.
4.
Yes, sir.
And have you done any interview before this for UPSC?
Yes, sir.
When?
Sir, it was in 2022.
22. What was your score?
Sir, it was 160.
160. And you missed the call by how many marks?
Sir, by 11.
By 11.
Yes, sir.
So your optional is economics.
Yes, sir.
And you are a BSc economics.
Yes, sir.
So how did the mains go this time?
Better from the last one, sir.
Better. So you are optimistic
Yes, sir.
that even with the same score in interview, you should sail through?
Yes, sir. This time I will.
This time you will.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Really love that confidence. All right. You come from the city of joy,
Yes, sir.
right? Why
Yes,
do
sir.
they call it city of joy?
Sir, it has got multiple dimensions attached to it. Firstly, the amount of literature, art, music which is attached to this city, and historical backgrounds are also there, sir. For example, Rabindranath Tagore, who hails from this region, has itself written a lot of poetries, music, and he was himself a renowned artist also. And every corner and every nook of this city has got some stories related to it. And when these stories are being told, it's mesmerized the people. And once there was a traveler also who was from France. He went to this area, and he, after looking all these things, named this area as a city of joy, sir.
City of joy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is said that anybody who wants to rule West Bengal must follow the CPM strategy. Unless until you follow the strategy of CPM to displace a government, you cannot change the government in West Bengal. Is it correct?
Sir, partially correct, sir.
Define.
Sir, with the changing dynamics and changing political style, uh, the old style and old fashioned politics is not completely true to this for the state. For example, the current scenario, the newer parties which are coming into the state, they are following different style of politics, and the older one which used to be cadre based and mostly this club system which was there in the state and still working very efficiently, they have denied these sort of politics and they have brought the newer ones, sir.
Okay. Uh, West Bengal is connected with waterways,
Yes, sir.
multiple waterways, right? How has this helped uh, freight and trade in West Bengal?
So the national waterways itself passes through the state. It has reduced the freight cost. For example, the riverine port Kolkata itself holds a lot of trade, and secondly, the port which is situated in Haldia is also reducing the freight cost because there are a lot of international trades which is being carried out from this port, Haldia port. So this is how, sir.
What is India's total trade value or freight value through waterways?
Sir, not able to recall the exact amount, sir.
Recently, a report was out in Parliament.
Yes, sir.
So, can you tell what is the growth, what is the value? No?
No, sir, not able to recall, sir.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Now, Laxman Pratap,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me why West Bengal on the economic growth trajectory is not doing so well. Telangana per capita income and see the West Bengal per capita income. The big difference.
Yes, ma'am.
What has not worked for West Bengal?
Uh, Ma'am, we will have to look from when India got independence. Firstly, the freight equalization policy that came in 1952. Nextly, ma'am, the rise of Naxalism that shifted the state's focus from industrial growth to social justice and then to land reforms. Thirdly, ma'am, rise of trade militancy, what we can call the trade unions dominance, that led to a lot of strikes, picketing.
Most
For,
of the good industries, they ran away from West Bengal.
yes, ma'am. Fourthly, ma'am, this Singur incident also, this happened in
I was
2008.
hinting at that only.
Yes, ma'am. That acted as a last nail in the coffin of the state's
After
policy.
that, no big industry is ready to go to West Bengal.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
don't you think the government there and the people they are suffering because of that? They need to review. We can make mistakes and review and get into the right track, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that happening in West Bengal or not?
Uh, yes, ma'am. Currently, the government, which is in power, they have tried to undo what was happened in the past. For example, the Bengal Business Summit that was recently held. It was the seventh event of such kind of event that held in the state. It had actually brought a lot of
Last,
investment.
there are 7 summits
Yes,
which
ma'am.
have already taken place
Yes,
in
ma'am.
West Bengal, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And this has already brought a lot of investments, and future prospect investments are also, ma'am.
How many MOUs were signed in the last one?
Uh, I'm not able to recall the
No
exact figures.
problems. Let's go back. Last, the seventh. Leave the seventh. First to sixth. What is the outcome of those 6 summits?
Ma'am, some of the outcomes can be derived that there are more than 156 big industrial units in the state, and which are,
Outcome of the summits?
yes, ma'am.
Name a few.
For example, ma'am, Adani's, they have their large logistic parks in West Bengal.
Where?
Ma'am, it's in East Medinipur district, I guess. Then, ma'am, there is a warehousing of for some of the large e-commerce companies like Amazon, Flipkart, which is in the
And they
state.
have everywhere. That will, Amazon. If something is to be delivered in Delhi, the warehousing will be near this. So that is a warehousing is not a growth story.
Yes, ma'am.
There's somebody hires a space and gives rent to you. That is not industry, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
That's rental income.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, despite this, also other than this, there are other industries like iron and steel is also there in the state.
Once upon a time, Howrah was the biggest market of Asia as far as scrap iron was concerned.
Yes, ma'am.
It is no more. What happened? What went wrong in Howrah? Can you tell me that?
Uh,
It was Asia's biggest scrap iron market.
yes, ma'am. Few of the reasons that I can recollect, ma'am. Firstly, is that this trade union problem that erupted in most of the big industries.
Okay, let's change the topic. Let's get out of West Bengal and come to the center. Tell me any of the sectors which are listed in the PLI scheme. Any of that sector is performing in your state? Anything from that domain?
Ma'am, textile is something which is.
That's what I'm asking. Tell me about textile. Textile is there. That
ma'am.
sector is dominantly there.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
also it is labor intensive, can create lot of employment.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is happening in the textile sector in West Bengal?
Ma'am, currently the textile sector is picking up in the state. For example, the technical textile sector, which is the also.
Technical textile is used for security reasons, security jackets and all that.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
talking about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Come on, tell me. No problem.
Then, ma'am, other textiles, this textile things, ma'am. Then we have seen this leather. Leather thing is also very much
Leather
prominent.
tanneries are there in the suburbs of Calcutta, but nothing great has happened. Now, one small question, very small reply you can give. West Bengal, the counterpart East Bengal means Bangladesh.
Yes, ma'am.
Bangladesh is doing very well in their textile exports.
Yes, ma'am.
They are number one. Why West Bengal has not been able to match up, or India has not been able to match up? Why? There has to be some technical reason. I know that. You tell me.
First of all, ma'am,
Exports. I'm talking about
ma'am.
exports. Only focusing on exports,
ma'am, the wage rates are very less in Bangladesh.
right? Even in West Bengal, the wage rates are not so high.
Secondly, ma'am, this state of Bangladesh, the country has itself invested heavily in this textile industry. Thirdly, ma'am, they have allowed the FDI to come in into their states, and so
Not much of FDI. The only reason is they are treated as the most backward state. All duties and customs and everything,
yes,
all
ma'am.
they are not in that purview. They
Yes,
pay
ma'am.
no taxes, no duties. Therefore, their product becomes economically more viable.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to know
Yes, ma'am.
that.
Yes, ma'am. I will
Thank you.
definitely.
Okay, see, we had some. Do you think that the people living in Myanmar, are people living in the bordering cities of Myanmar,
Yes, sir.
if they want to travel to each other's country, is there any system or they have to take visa and then travel?
So the people currently living in Myanmar, they used to come to India with this visa provisions. For connectivity, there is a trilateral highway which the country.
But is there any special uh, facilities given to them? Are given to all people living in the border of Myanmar?
Yes, sir. Especially in the borderline areas, there was this free movement regime
Yeah.
which the government used to give, and it started in 2018. But the government has recently withdrawn this free movement regime, and they have proposed that the whole of this border will be fenced, and there will be visas provisions for all those living in the border areas, sir.
Okay. Uh, have you heard of string of pearls?
Yes, sir.
What is string of pearls?
Sir, it is a strategy of China which has been used on international level to encircle India in the Indian Ocean region, sir.
And what was our response to that?
Sir, in response to that, it is said that India is following this diamond of necklace policy, where India is also investing in port infrastructure in some of the overseas countries. And
Like which overseas country we are tapping for that?
for example, sir, India has invested in this Chabahar port in Iran. Nextly, they are also emphasizing on investment in Seychelles. Uh, Nextly, sir, Sri Lanka is also there in our list, where the Eastern Container Terminal, which was supposed to be developed by India, and then, sir, we are developing this port in Sitwe in Myanmar. So this is how we are trying to counter the policy of string of pearls of China.
Okay. Sometime back, in one report called Hindenburg report was published. What was the Hindenburg report? What was the allegation in that report against the industrial house?
So the report primarily focused on this Adani group, and it said that the Adani groups have done a lot of tax forgery, and they have not paid their tax, and they have also used some of the malpractices to
Like
list themselves in the stock market with a highly inflated value. So this is how the.
there was some how they can inflate the value because share value is determined by the market.
Yes, sir.
So how can they inflate the value if there is no buyer at the higher value?
Sir, it was alleged that they have, in their annual report, they have not completely disclosed the finances and the overall accountings correctly. And they have inflated their returns and overall gross earnings. So, this is how the market sentiment goes with the performance of any industry or any particularly firm. So, this is how they manipulated. The allegation was that.
Okay, there was a Places of Worship Act. Have you heard that?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
Sir, it stated that any monument that had its,
Monument.
yes, religious site or monument which had its character in 1947, except Ram Mandir, will remain so.
So what is happening in in Gyanvapi? Is it in violation of Places of Worship Act?
Sir, I won't totally agree to it that it's a violation, because the plea was just for allowing the litigant to offer prayers. It was not there to change the character of this structure. And the Places of Worship Acts clearly states that there should be no change in character. And keeping this in view mind that India is a secular country,
But
so we should respect all the religions
consider
equally,
the
sir.
whole issue is to declare it as a temple site. So you think that it cannot be declared as a Places of Worship Act?
Sir, going by the act and the uh, complete ethos of the act, if we declare the site as a temple site, then it will violate the legality. And I think, sir, this will be something which the act was not supposed to be.
So you're saying it will
All
be
right.
violation.
Yes, sir. Legally, it will be a violation of the act, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Laxman,
Yes, sir.
do you know rule of 70?
Rule of 70. No, sir.
If I tell you it is from economics,
No, sir. I'm still not able to recall, sir.
what is the law or system or this thing to calculate how the GDP of a country is growing?
So there are three methods to it. First is the value addition method. Second is the expenditure method, and thirdly is this. Sir, I'm not able to recall the third.
All right, the first method. How do you calculate the growth of a GDP of a country?
So the value addition method emphasizes that whatever the value is being added at every stage of a production, then it will be first calculated for a single product and for a single firm, and then as
So, using that theory, can you tell me how many years will it take for India to double its GDP?
sir, as per some reports, in order to double the GDP, it will take 5 to 6 years from here on.
On assuming what? Assuming the growth rate to be what?
Assuming the growth rate to be around 8 to 10%, in between 8 to 10%.
So this is what rule of 70 is. If you take average annual growth to be 10%,
Yes, sir.
you divide 10 from 70 and you get 7 years. So the GDP will double in 7 years.
Yes, sir.
What do you understand by 1729?
Sir, it was Ramanujan's number.
And what is it known for?
Sir, not able to exactly recall the concept behind this number. Sir, if you allow me, then I can make a guess. Sir.
All right.
Sir, it was the cube or square of the number.
Cube of.
Yes, sir. Cube of the number. If added, then it will give a perfect square, something like that.
Yeah, but you need to read on this.
Sure, sir. I will.
What are some of the unresolved problems of maths? You can name any one of them?
Sir, some of the equations that Ramanujan itself gave
No.
was.
It's not linked with Ramanujan. All right, you can read on it.
Sure, sir. I will definitely.
What are your comments on UN's efficacy in problem handling in today's world?
Sir, United Nations, for the purpose it was created to maintain peace and stability throughout the world. But in the recent past, we have seen that the Assembly has failed to deliver its mandate in some of its cases. And yes, sir, there is a need to recalibrate and give a rethought about its working style. And this can be done through reassessing the United Nations Security Council's position, sir, which itself has been mandated to maintain peace and stability throughout the region, sir.
So what should be done in the United Nations Security Council?
Sir, there must be expansion of the Security Council.
Expansion one. Any other thing?
Secondly, sir, the process through which decisions are being taken, it's not very much open.
So what? How to make it open?
Sir, it must be holistic. That is to say, those countries who are specifically affected through this instability, those countries or at least those regions must
this
be.
is not good. There's something else which is required if you want to make it more open and more effective. Either remove veto,
Yes, sir, veto power,
or give it to everyone. All members should be given veto. It's basically equal. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes. How do you think, Laxman, you did today in the interview? Mock.
Sir, some of the questions, I think I need to uh, read about it more, sir. For example, just like ma'am asked me about questions regarding West Bengal.
Because it's part of your def.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Definitely, I will read about it, ma'am. And some of the questions that sir about asked about
Also
maths.
about Hindenburg, I'm not going to tell you in detail because of paucity of time. Your answer was not correct.
Sure, ma'am.
You just read the whole thing, then
Sure,
you will
ma'am, sure, ma'am.
understand.
I will read
Because
about
you
it,
are
ma'am.
you are a student of economics, you will be.
Sure, ma'am.
Because the issue was something else. There were some ulterior motives, and SEBI has come out with that. Then a final report has to come. All that you need to know
Yes,
in
ma'am.
sequence of events.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's break down your performance into various components and then see how you did. One, your turnout, fine, very good. All you need is hair better groomed
Yes, sir. This I will make
and
sure, sir.
properly shaped, right?
Yes, sir.
Then you accosted us well. Sitting down, now look at your hands, how firmly you are gripping them. That shows nervousness.
Yes, sir.
When you sit like this, have you been told by people that you cannot move your hands?
No, sir. People they have told me that I
In the
can.
mocks, sit like what?
So like this.
No, not at all.
Sir, I used to sit like this. Then some of them said that no, it's very
I
robotic.
say
type.
better,
It's a
but
better,
it's not should be a tight
But you
clutch.
can-
Just
you should-
relax, be easy.
You should be able to communicate with your hands also. You
Okay,
can
sir.
use them once in a while, but if you keep them tightly held,
Yes, sir.
that shows nervousness. Okay.
Yes, sir.
In your communication you were fine, you were responsive, and I would still suggest that you listen to the question properly and then respond.
Yes, sir.
Like he's asked how the GDP is calculated, right? You immediately blurted out there are three ways of doing it. Without knowing all the three, in your position, I would have thought of all the three. If I didn't know the third one, I would say there are a few methods of working. One of them is this, second is this. Third याद आ गया तब तक तो बोल दिया, नहीं आया तो नहीं बोला. Right? But
Sure,
when
sir.
you say three and you don't tell all the three, no, I'm not, then you give the impression that you are an impulsive guy, impulsive candidate who just speaks
Sure, sir. I will.
without thinking. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And within a fraction of second, if you had waited, gone through the question, you would have either remembered all the three, or you could have remodeled your answer to that question. So just wait for a fraction of a second. Brain is such a beautiful thing that it will let you put everything in perspective. Okay?
Sure, sir.
So please do that. And you need to work on your DAF. As she mentioned, coming from West Bengal, you need to work on your DAF. A report on the waterways,
Yes, sir.
the freight, particularly in particular, was out. So since you come from there, and also the defense manufacturing takes place, at least the naval assets
Yes, sir.
are made there. So
Ordnance
you should be aware
factories.
of, you should
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
ordnance factories are there.
Harbor is there,
So
Dam and
you should
Harbor.
you
Yes,
should
ma'am.
be aware of that.
Garden reach is there.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm just giving you a single. We are not pinpointing everything to you.
Yes, sir.
It's a broad thing that you should be knowing about all those things, right?
Yes,
and generally, the current affairs, you need to, when you talk of pearl of string of pearls, you can start right from Horn of Africa to the way China is doing,
Yes, sir.
and then our response. You should be clear. You start from one end and take to the other end. Not that you will mention whatever comes to your mind. You should be systematic.
Sure, sir.
That shows that you understand what it is. All right?
Yes, sir.
So just work on these things.
Sure, sir.
You are very good. You communicate well. You are confident. You have the personality. So I'm sure with a little bit of sprucing up or refreshing, you will do very well in your interview. Right?
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to ask?
No, sir.
All right. All the very best to you.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. लो जी अगला कैंडिडेट ले लें हम